Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with American Manganese CEO and President Larry Reaugh. Larry, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be on the show, Jim.
Larry, a lot of changes are happening in the lithium battery space. What kind of changes?
Well, there's changes in the types of batteries, the forms of the batteries, the amount of cobalt that's going in the batteries. The list goes on and on and on. But there's other changes that people are not, fully aware of. And when we first looked at this project back in early 2016, cobalt was around $10,000 a ton. And today it's at $55,000. And the relationship to that statement is that we could see that there was money to be made at $10,000 a ton if you could successfully get the cathode materials out of the disassembled battery. And that's what we've been working on, and we've gotten 100% of that. But all said and done, at the same time, when we were looking at this in the summer of 2016, battery manufacturers and big companies and governments that utilize the lithium-ion batteries had to pay the scrapyard to take the battery off their hands, and that was usually around $3 a pound. So if it was a 1,000-pound battery, that was $3,000 they had to pay the scrapyard. Well, that's changed over the last 2 years, and it's gradually got to the point now where the recycler has to pay for the battery. So that changes some dynamics. It doesn't really have a serious effect on what we're doing, but it's something that we have to consider and, take a look at in our business plan. And that cost is something that would be negotiated. And, like I say, we looked like we could be profitable at $10,000 a ton. Certainly the price is 5.5 times greater than that today at $55,000 a ton. So there's quite a bit of leeway in there for us to negotiate the acquisition, specifically of the cathode materials, and because that's what we're going to start with. But that is one of the changes that, of course, affects us and is going to make changes in our business plan. And it's going to increase the cost of the recycling and the total dynamics. But it's not a negative thing. What it tells you is that if you can get 100%, or very close to 100%, that you would be a leading corporation in this field. And that's what we strive for. That's what we are getting, to be a leader. And, because eventually the governments are going to turn around and say that's going to be another change, and that is that you have to recycle 100% of the battery. And you're not going to end up, burning the actual batteries that contain the cathode material after you strip off the supporting structure of the battery, which is the casing and the wiring and all those things. So I think we're well on our way to covering that base, and that would be a dynamic tipping point in what's happening with Amy. If they were to rule that you have to get 100% back, then you would basically you would put us in the front of the tier. And that would certainly be a big boost for what we're trying to obtain, because we're trying to obtain a partner. We're trying to obtain financing, which is something that always is ongoing with when you're doing test work and you don't have cash flow. So it would take a lot of pressure off the stock, and it would take a lot of pressure off of management. We could devote full time to developing our product. All these things are what people have to consider. And like it's our test work that's going on with our pilot plant. There's other IPs, as we said earlier in press releases, that we would be looking at filing for other IPs. All that has to be worked through with the final design of the plant. And, so it takes time and it takes money. But we want to do it right. We don't want to, go in and have a half-assed program. We want to have a full base covering program that allows us to produce at the rates that we would expect and that our shareholders should expect. So it takes a little more time than usual. But we're getting there, and, I can't be less optimistic about what's happening with Cametco Research on their end of the work that's being done. So that's kind of where I wanted to leave everybody, is that the landscape keeps shifting. I've been saying that in our press releases. It shifts in all kinds of different directions, so you have to be on top of that. So you got to have your pulse on the market, and we try to do that. And like I say, we're happy with the progress so far, and we're looking forward to going to the conference in Richmond next Saturday. I think that could be a great conference for the company. And we'll have to, of course, you don't know how great it's going to be until 2 or 3 weeks after the conference. But I know one thing, that we're not going to get any results if we don't go. So I wish everybody a happy long weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. Everybody needs a rest. And because sometimes we put in 6-7 day weeks, especially when we're going to conferences and that sort of thing, and it's nice to get a break. And so that's where I'll leave it, Jim.
Larry, for people who aren't familiar with the company, where are you traded and how can they get more information?
Okay, we're traded on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol AMY. We're traded in the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF. We're traded in Frankfurt, Germany under the symbol 2AM. You can read all about us. All our stuff is on our website, AmericanManganeseInc.com. You can reach us at 778-574-4444, or you can email me at LREAUGH@AMYMN.com.
Larry, thank you so much for the update.
You're very welcome, Jim.
My guest has been Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. I'm Jim Goddard. Our conversation took place on October 5th.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.